Hi, my name is Bryant Galindo, and I'm the author of The New Middle, a book about using the heart and mind connection to disagree more effectively when you need it most. In this book, I explore the intersections of psychology, spirituality, and conflict resolution to put you at the center. As someone who has trained in conflict resolution as a mediator, I realized that so many of the tools and techniques that I learned were externals, but no one actually really talked about what does it look like to transform inside of yourself in order to communicate a new perspective. This book flips the script. It allows you to understand when you create stronger heart and mind connections, you're no longer beholden to your trauma or your upbringing or ways of reacting that are impacting the way you communicate, but you are actually allowing yourself to empower who you are based upon what your heart says as well as your mind. For me, the inspiration behind this book is really personal. After I got my master's degree in 2016, I was randomly stabbed in the neck at a Halloween party in Hollywood. What happened to me afterwards was something that was so deep. I became very depressed, very existential, but in rising out of that space, what I found was actually my heart. I found how so much of who I was based on the need to either dominate, to use my intellect, or to puff up my chest in a way to assert myself. But I lacked confidence. I lacked this ability to really understand who I was. And in coming out, I realized that wow, as a queer Latino man, in order to find my empowerment, I would need to be able to not only communicate, but also be able to enter these spaces of deep uncomfortability and find this new perspective. This book includes stories and insights specifically from my professional practice as a mediator, negotiating agreements in the $10 million range with business founders. Also, it includes stories from my own personal life, where I've had to put a lot of my own practices into play. I also include stories from professionals who have been in the field for over 30 years. So there's a lot of wisdom in this book around how do we disagree when it matters the most. One of the coolest stories was actually when I just started out as a mediator. I was brought in to negotiate a conversation between three founders of an edtech company that was restructuring their equity. They were on the precipice of getting a Series B round of funding, which meant a lot of money was on the line. But what I ended up figuring out was that after a 7-hour conversation, they had entered an impasse. There was no way of moving forward. In order to be able to meet themselves and to compromise, one of the founders taught me a very important lesson, not only on silence, but of accessing her own heart. She ended up going upstairs, taking 5 minutes to meditate on what it was that she wanted to do before coming down with tears on her eyes and saying, look, at the end of the day, what's really most important to me is that we have a strong relationship. My hope for this book is that it'll stimulate new types of conversations in our everyday life, either from the workplace, professionally, relationally, or even politically. We need new ways of communicating. This book creates that framework that you can not only implement in your life, but also take it into your communities. This book is for anyone who wants to be a better communicator. I know that I wish I had this book when I was much younger. Because when it comes to relationships, whether in the workplace or in everyday life, we must learn how to disagree with one another respectfully. My name is Bryant Galindo, and I'm the author of The New Middle, Disagreeing with Your Heart and Mind When It Matters Most.